Hello, pilots and Milsim community. Well, this is Chief Backles here with the 21st Army Ranger Regiment's Whiskey Air Squadron attachment. Today I'm going to go over the Apache Project pilot seat, quick start, Army basics, and FCR basics. This is the longbow. That's why we're going to go over the FCR, the Fire Control Radar. You need to make sure that you have your bindings set for this aircraft. The Apache Project does require certain custom controls. There's quite a few. Don't let that worry you though. Once you get them down, it's pretty easy to handle. The most important being user action 20. Let me show you that real quick. So you're going to go to controls, custom controls, and then here you have all the user actions. User action 20 allows you to interact with the cockpit. I have the Thrustmaster MFDs, so I assign buttons to those for all the other actions. All the actions are available on the Steam Workshop for the Apache project. I'll link that at the bottom of the video. All right, so you can see the little X. I'm inside the cockpit now. You can see the little X. This is my interact crosshair. If you ever need to center it, that would be keypad number 5. That'll put your center back and the X back in the center. So I already armed up the aircraft, but I'm going to show you how to do that real quick. You like to do that before starting up. That way, because it takes 4 minutes to load everything. In this case, we're going to skip it, but I'm going to show you how to do it. So you click on the bracket you want, or the mounting rails you want, and then select the Hellfire. So all the Hellfires are laser except for the one that has the L in it, which is actually the Lima, which is longbow radar guided. So here we'll click on the different rails. Okay, so I'm just going to put the Limas in all of them, and then I'm going to select 1 and 4, which are the outside pylons. And then if I wanted to load them all up with Hellfires, I would just click on all of those. And then we'll click on the rocket pods, add that in, and then what we want. So, 100 pounders, or 10 pounds, sorry. Fragmentation. I think this is, oh, that's the parachute. I think there's some flechettes here. There's a flare. Yeah, you can pick these and mix and match them, and then you'd put those in the pylons, right? Or on the I don't know if you call it nacelle or external store support system. And then we want the ATAS, right, for air to air. So you click on that, and then you select the ATA box. And then you'd hit load, and that would show you the load on the bottom and the amount of time, which is 4 minutes, like I said. Same thing with refuel, repair and refuel is 4 minutes. So when you come in for a landing, you need to do rearm and repair refuel. Just do them both. Start with this one and then load up your aircraft. All right, so starting up, you can see my little crosshair. First thing you need to do is, what I do is turn off the rotor brake. So there's interact with that. Turn on the battery, which is this dial right there. Turn on the APU. Okay, so you can hear the APU starting up. This is a quick start, so we're gonna skip the real life stuff, and we'll just start 1, start 2, put them to idle. Blades will start turning. Let's go ahead and close the pilot and gunner door. All right, so while those are spooling up, I'm going to go ahead and plug in my iHads. So that's by looking at this little hump down here on this panel. This is where you plug it in. So we plugged it in, and then we're going to turn it on with this dial right there. Okay, so now you can see the iHads is up. And you can see the engine spooling up there. All right, so fire suppression. Click here. That's your tests. So there it shows your fire, master warnings, and here's your master caution, master warning. You'll get the audio warning as well, and then here's your discharges. So if number 1 engine showed fire, you'd click on that engine, and then you click on primary for your retardant. So that would discharge those bottles into the engine compartment and put out the fire. Same thing with APU, if the APU is on fire, and then engine 2. And then if you have another fire, you'd use up your reserve. Anything after that, and you're pretty much screwed. So, all right, so go fly. And you can see that the engine switches turn off once you go to fly. Then you want to turn off your APU. You don't really have to, but it's consuming fuel, so I turn it off. I don't know if it does in this simulation or not, but I always turn it off. So anyway, let's just go over the, what did I say I was going to do in this? The arming startup. So there's your startup, and then FCR basics. So the FCR will only turn on when the engines are on. I think that's a change that's coming, so you can have the APU on and still have the FCR. So for example, in this area here, I have a FCR range. This is just for training on the Whiskey Proving Grounds, with a bunch of vehicles that are just out in that field up there. So you can practice targeting them. You can always come up, lift off, and then engage as well. Alright, so let's switch to the FCR. So I'm actually doing this with my Thrustmaster MFDs, but you can actually switch to it with by looking at this FCR button on the MFD here. You can also switch to your weapons on this panel. So there's weapons, and there's the FCR. So right now you can see that there's no sweeping line going back and forth. So I'm going to turn that on by hitting the salute or / key on the keyboard. And you can see that it's sweeping back and forth. And we're going to start seeing all those vehicles populating. So there's something way out there. That's probably the Whiskey Airstrip. And then we have all these vehicles right here. So, and you can go to the TSD page. Okay. Now, right now it's on nav, right? So if I wanted to add waypoints, I could show the map. So you can basically click add and then place your waypoints all over the place. And then you can cycle through them. But in this case, what we're doing is FCR, so we'll click on the nav and switch that to ATK. And now you can see there's some wheeled vehicles. Looks like 5 wheeled vehicles, 3 tracked vehicles, and anti-air or air helicopter, and looks like anti-air, like AAA or AA. And you can filter all those, so you just click the filter here and you can cycle between the types of vehicles. That's going to be a little bit more advanced stuff. Then you have your range there. You can add fire control zones, primary fire zones, and then transmit those to the aircraft. So let's say you wanted somebody to hit, from here down to here and make that a fire zone for Apache 2. You can do that, and then from here up to here is for Apache 1. That way you can, make sure that you're hitting, you'd select the fire zone, and then you would, know that you're hitting stuff inside that fire zone because you're filtered by that. zone. But anyway, so if we want to fire these weapons, we need to, because I don't have a gunner, I have to switch to manual fire. Alright, so manual fire is on. Now we'll cycle through the weapons, so I'll hit F, and here now you can see I have my ATA or ATAS selected, so that would be for aircraft. Here I've got the radar guided Limas. So when you look at this, you see it says R. It's not the Romeos. It just means that they're radar guided. So most of the time, that's I would prefer the radar guided just because of their lethality. They're much more lethal. So anyway, and then over here we have the direct, which would be, once you target something, it's going to be a direct shot. It's going to lock on before launch, and it's going to shoot straight to it. If we hit it again, it's going to be a lock on. Oh, did I get it? There, lock on after launch direct. So that means it's going to fire, and then it's going to lock on, and then it's going to go. Then you have low and high, and this is basically the trajectory of the Hellfire. So if you need it to hit from a high trajectory, you'd select high. So there's that. And so you can see all those targets out there. Now if I want to target one, I just hit R. And you can see that I have a vehicle targeted now. Now I'm landed, so that's probably why I don't have the the solid square box. You want a solid square box when you're firing. Now with the FCR though, you can actually do that from far away. You just cycle through them and fire, and it would, because it's using the radar, it'll hit those targets each one at a time. Now if they're moving, you're going to want to have active radar on them, or you're going to want to use your laser guided, and fire that way. But you need a gunner for that, as far as I know. So we'll go ahead and I'm just going to go ahead and put this in auto hover, and then I'm going to go ahead and lift off here. And I always recommend having a trim. This aircraft does require advanced flight model. So now you can see that I'm off the ground, and I have a solid box. So I can actually go ahead and rifle, and it's going to go and it's going to hit that vehicle. So basically you can just cycle through these targets and release them. But anyway, as you release these munitions, your aircraft is going to get lighter. So you may think you're at a stable hover, but it's going to start lifting, right? And also you can see that the objects change, right? So there's yellow. Once it cooks off, it should disappear off my radar. There you go. See that it has the X, and you can see my aircraft starting to climb more now too, because I weigh less. All right, so those are the Hellfires. The rockets. There's your reticule up there. You can cycle through those, and if you switch to HMD, now you can see how I'm adjusting the angle of the rocket pod. So you have a limited angle, but you can adjust that. So when you're coming in, you can fix that. You can also turn your laser on so you can have the acquisition range acquisition, so specifically for types of rockets that require a range, you're going to want to have that laser on so you can, so it'll explode correctly, right? So it'll, like if it's supposed to explode before it hits the ground, above ground, that kind of things like flechettes and stuff like that. And then let's see. Let's switch the gun. All right, so I'm on HMD right now. Right here you can see it says HMD. So now wherever I look, I can shoot. So if I wanted to hit these trucks right up here, now I basically just did a right click to bring up my camera. I would just look at them, and you can see that top crosshair. It's kind of like right in between there, and if I had the laser on, I could probably range this thing. Yeah, that one's out of commission. That one's pretty much out of commission. And then this one here, he's pretty much toast too. He's not going anywhere. Let's take out this guy over here. There you go, there's cook off. Yeah, so that's the gun. Now, if you look here, you can see how many of the Limas I've used up, and how many rounds I have. You can still see that I'm on FCR. You can change that too. That's more advanced stuff. I'm not going to go into that. So if I hit backslash, my FCR is off. I'm no longer tracking new targets. But you can just turn that sweep back on and get them. Yeah, so that's pretty much it. Yeah, you can see there's more targets out here. Those are our friendlies. There is no IFF, so you have to definitely PID in these things. For shutting down, it's pretty easy. Basically what you do is you put both of these engines to off. I always turn the APU on first, so APU, engines off, rotor brake on, and then iHads off, unplug the iHads, APU off, battery off, and then you can get out.